Hey there, dear viewers. Welcome to Obsessed with Werewolves. I'm so glad you're here because I know you, like me, have a passion for all things werewolf. From their captivating tales to their mysterious nature, we're going to explore it all. So, let's dive right in and satisfy our obsession together. Chapter 9. I wake up bright and early, feeling as light as a feather, before my alarm clock has the chance to annoy me. I open my eyes, noticing a shadow in front of me, and I scream like a crazy person while throwing away my blanket and trying to stand up. Jenna's laugh echoes through the room and I curse loudly. I glance heavily at her spread from on my bed and I fall back on it, getting under the covers. I turn my head away from her and close my eyes. You should have seen your face. God, I haven't laughed this hard since forever. My sister squeals and I release a groan. Your mate is not doing a great job then, I comment, which makes Jenna chuckle once again. Come on, Dawn. Tell me everything about last night. I've been up for an hour waiting for you to wake up. I am so pumped. Realizing she won't leave me alone, I turn my head towards her and open my eyes. It's like 7 in the morning. How can you be this excited at 7 in the morning? Well, Mom mentioned that as a future Luna, I need to get used to getting up pretty early in order to make sure that everything runs smoothly in the pack. For the first time ever, I actually agree with her. Jenna admits and a small smile makes its way on my lips. Look at you all grown, up and ready to become Luna. I think you will be awesome in this role, even without Mom's help. Jenna looks at me and smiles shyly before focusing on her main subject again. Thank you. So, are you ready to tell me about last night? Will I be soon saying goodbye to my best friend and my sister? She asks me, and I realize that Carly must have mentioned her upcoming departure. I sit up and stretch a bit. Well, I am staying until I graduate from the academy, but Carly is definitely leaving in like 5 days. Her eyes widen and she gives me a puzzled look. Wait, you are staying. What about your mate? He is staying here as well, until I graduate. Mautayo, his alphas adjusted it. They are really close friends, so I explain and I can see comprehension in her eyes. That's nice of him. I wonder if Jonathan would ever leave Adrian and stay away from us for so long. Maybe he should, so we can get a break from our annoying brother. I comment. Jenna bursts into laughter and I can't help but join her. When we both calm down, she gets up and heads towards the door. I am gonna let you get ready for the academy while I go fix my awful hair because I am meeting Jonathan in like an hour. Oh, another hot date? I ask, teasing her. I wish. We are meeting with his parents to talk about pack business, our future and all that, just she clarifies with a sigh. I nod and she waits for a moment before she speaks again. Dawn, when you met your mate, did it feel like finally everything makes sense? You know, that feeling everyone described when we were young. Like he is the most important person in the world. I take a second to think about it before I answer truthfully. It did feel like everything changed. Yeah, I guess you can say that everything made sense. It was overwhelming, but perfect. I confess, a small smile playing on my lips, remembering the odd way I met Alvaro. She gives me one of her famous smiles, but I notice that it doesn't reach her eyes. I am so happy you found him. I am happy you found Jonathan. Nice date. Jen nods and leaves my room without another word. Damn. It was crazy to think that just a few days ago I was still mateless Dawn. The girl everyone first avoided, then felt sorry for, and now I was freaking mated to someone like Alvaro. Alvaro. A man who was extremely handsome, sweet, polite and funny. But most importantly, he was mysterious and interesting. So kind, but also possessive in a cute way. I could not wait to see him again today. I decide to take a quick shower and get ready for the academy. Since it is Friday, I just need to get through only a few hours of training and then I will have the rest of the week off. I was a bit bummed that Grace had a cold and would not be attending class today, but I guess I'll manage on my own. It was quite rare for werewolves to get sick, but my best friend just went out there and caught the flu. I run down the stairs to eager to have some breakfast. The house was awfully quiet, so all I could do was scroll down in my phone while I had a bowl of Cheerios. Jenna probably already left to meet her mate and everyone else was at their jobs. Right as I locked the door and headed to the bus station, a car stopped beside me. I turned around and instantly recognized John's blonde hair. "Hey Dawn, where are you headed?" "John. Hey, the police academy actually. I got an early class once again." I sigh. "That's in the human village." "Right. I am heading there as well. Hop in, I'll give you a ride," he suggests, and I only think about it for a second since John has been kind enough to drive me to the academy once or twice before. I get inside the vehicle and put my seatbelt on immediately. "Aren't you the law-abiding citizen?" John jokes easily. "Well, I am going to be a police officer. I need to be a good role model." I deadpan with a smile. After a few minutes pass, we reach the police station in no time. As I am about to get out after thanking him politely, he grabs my wrist gently. "Hey, look. I just wanted to ask you about last night. I'd even apologize. I got this feeling your date was about to murder me, although I have no idea what I did wrong," he admits awkwardly. "Oh yeah, that was actually my mate, Alvaro. He's not from around here. We found each other very recently. Where he comes from, they have very different traditions about mates, and he kinda felt like your behavior towards me was inappropriate." I explained to him that things work a lot differently in our pack, and he acknowledged his mistake. "I am sorry if we put you in an uncomfortable situation." I state, really hoping for John to understand where I am coming from. "I had no idea that was your mate. I freaking winked at you." Of course he got mad. "I am sorry, Dawn. I hope this won't make things awkward between us." "Of course not. Shoot. I need to run to class." "Thanks so much for the drive." John leans forward and gives me a small hug. "Don't even mention it." Mr. Anderson seemed a bit out of focus in today's training. He did not push us hard enough. He barely made us do anything actually besides running. Being a werewolf, I got bored pretty quickly, especially since Grace was absent. 5 p.m. could not come fast enough. Finally, our class was over and I was free. I felt impatient, knowing I was seeing Alvaro again so soon. I did not bother putting any makeup on after my shower cause my mate mentioned I should wear something comfortable. This whole thing felt like we were just a random people dating, although we already knew we were going to end up together. I was just outside the academy, waving goodbye at some of my future colleagues that were leaving the facility as well, when I noticed Alvaro's car approaching me. He stopped right in front of me and I got swiftly inside his car, really wanting to see his handsome face, although I am not shallow, I swear. But being the clumsy person that I am, I fell on the seat like a sack of potatoes. Let's just say that gracefulness was not my thing. Hey was my awkward greeting while I was trying to get myself in a more fitting seating position. "Hello to you too," my Don Alvaro whispered, and his voice was so hoarse that it made me tingle all over, and I was too embarrassed to make eye contact with him after my ridiculous entry. "So what are we doing today?" I asked, still keeping my eyes focused on the road. "I thought I could use a good run. I haven't let my wolf out since we met. And I also thought that this could be a good opportunity for our wolves to meet for the first time as well. If you are down for that," my mate suggested, and my eyes lit up, instantly locking with his, knowing that a good run was absolutely something that I needed after that mediocre workout at the academy. "Hell yeah, I am down," I stated cheekily. "Great. Mateo said that there is an amazing forest just a mile away from here. We could go there." I nodded, already aware of what he was talking about. "It's called the Yellow Tree Forest. Grace and I used to run out there all the time, before she met her mate, Sebastian, that is." Sebastian thought it was too dangerous for us to be there all alone, so we've been mostly running in our pack's land lately. You guys are pretty close. Right. I mean you and Grace. Alvaro questions curiously. We've always been there for each other. Her and my siblings are the most important people in my life. What about your parents? I should have been ready to answer that question, but I wasn't. After a small pause, I took a long breath, reflecting on how to be honest without sounding mean. My parents are unique. They are very conservative and strict. I believe that a wolf's biggest ambition should be sacrificing his own needs in order to aid his pack. They are both amazing warriors and taught us everything we need to know about protecting our pack. They are not the most affectionate people you could find. They are just cold. At least they are polite when they have to be. I admitted without hesitation. I understand. I guess I could say that I can relate to that. My dad was always very passionate about following the rules and being an example for younger generations. Pack duty always came first. He died protecting our previous alpha. But my mother is quite the opposite. She is very caring and sweet and emotional. She is probably going to cry when she meets you. Alvaro declares, I am so sorry for your loss. And your mom sounds amazing, honestly. I wish my mother was more on the emotional side herself. Maybe you shouldn't. I think your parents' strict upbringing made you respectful towards your pack. And their emotional behavior made you compassionate. And your dad's hate towards anything humanly motivated you to succeed. You would not be you if it wasn't for them. Therefore, I personally am grateful to them for how you turned out. Alvaro comments in a teasing manner, and I involuntarily smile, which seems to be my constant state around my mate. That is one way to look at it. I'm actually loving it. I reply to him teasingly as well. We're here, my mate informs me, and he parks his car right outside the forest. We get out quickly, both excited about running together in our wolf forms. Have you ever been here before? I wonder while seeing how confidently Alvaro walks us through the beautiful yellow trees. I also had been here before, but I did not know my way around the forest as well as Alvaro seemed to. We came here once in a school trip on our last year of college. After that, Mautayo and I visited this forest once a month to let our wolves run freely. I think subconsciously we knew that something was pulling us closer to your land, but we could not comprehend what it was at the time. He stops and points at a small house a few meters away from us. His house belongs to a werewolf named Timothy. He is actually originally from our pack, the God-sent pack, but he has decided to be living here on his own for the past 10 years. We met him randomly while he was running in his wolf form inside the forest. He travels all around the world. He is currently somewhere in Asia. He was kind enough to hand us a spare key in order to use his house every time we came to run. I thought we could stop by, strip out of our clothes, and use some towels so we won't rip our clothes while transforming. My mate explains to me, his expression neutral, a wolf living on his own, without a pack. I've never heard about anything like that before. I think he just likes his privacy, Alvaro states, and I just shrug it off without paying the matter any more attention. Okay, let's get inside then. You really put some thought into this, so we should definitely follow your plan. I note simply, trying to look cool and collected while pictures of my half-naked mate kept appearing inside my head. I was pretty sure that the reality would be even more drool-worthy than my fantasy. I was already sure I would not be able to fall asleep at all tonight. Alvaro opened the door with the key in his hand and let me get in first. I had no idea what to expect, but it was definitely not this. In front of me was the most beautiful little house I had ever seen. It was a small wooden house, but its beauty was astonishing. It felt so homey, as if it had its own atmosphere that overflowed me. This place is beautiful, I commented with bewilderment. I really hoped you would like it. I always feel so calm around here. Alvaro replied, come on. I'll show you to the room so you can get changed. I'll change in the bathroom and we can head out, okay? I respond cheerfully. Alvaro leads me towards a simple room, with only a bed and a desk in it, and hands me the towel. I swiftly take my clothes off and cover myself with the towel before getting out. Not waiting for my mate, I head out of the house in order to change into my wolf. It's been so long since I ran without any restrictions, so I was more than thrilled. I walked a bit further inside the woods, not feeling ready to be completely naked in front of my handsome mate, and took the towel off. I took a long breath and focused my thoughts on my wolf form. Next thing I know, I was on all fours with my tail hanging low, swinging back and forth. A few seconds later, I heard a few footsteps before the most stunning wolf I had ever seen approach me. I instantly recognized my mate's wolf, since the need to be close to him was even bigger in our wolf forms. Alvaro's fur was silver just like my own, and he was quite taller than me. He walked with pride and confidence, his head up in the sky and his aura drowning me in. Had I not known him, I would have thought he was an alpha. He stopped right across from me and looked me in the eyes, those penetrating blue orbs hypnotizing me once again. I gave him a wolfish grin and took a small step closer to him, our paws barely touching. Alvaro kept on staring at me so emotionally that in that moment I felt whole. It was as if I was trying to figure out this thing they call life for years, and it finally made perfect sense. Then and there, my heart was full. Alvaro gave me a last glance and then caught me off guard by slowly lowering his head to his paws. I looked at him, stunned by his move, not believing what I was seeing. It was so rare for a male wolf to show even the slightest sigh of submission to his mate, but Alvaro was giving me the opportunity to let our run. He bowed right in front of me, as if I was his queen and he was ready to follow me anywhere I took us. Getting out of my trance, I lowered my head to my paws as well and saw his confused expression. I was showing him that I considered us equals, both able to lead on our own. Alvaro got the hint and motion with his head towards the direction we should be heading. I nodded and we simultaneously took off, our feet running as fast as they could. We kept on running side by side for hours, enjoying the cool breeze and our skin and each other's company. I felt contented being so close to him in our wolf forms, none of us trying to surpass the other but both enjoying the path. We glimpsed at the striking trees and the colorful flowers until we both got tired. Alvaro brought us to a river to reduce our thirst before we made our way towards where we had left the towels. It was already dark outside, so we quickened our pace, going our separate ways only to retrieve our towels. I quickly changed into my human form and ran towards the house, not wanting to catch a cold. Just as I got and found the room I had previously left my clothes in, I caught Alvaro's steps coming closer. I put my clothes on and got to the living room in order to wait for my... I sat on the couch, lazily looking around at the warm home. Alvaro came out of the bathroom fully clothed as well, reached me in just a few strikes, and then sat in the chair right across from mine. You can hand me the towel. I'll put it in my bag and wash it when I get back to the hotel, he mentioned, making me reflect on his current living conditions. Wait, how long do you plan on staying in that hotel? I asked him curiously. Well, I figured I'd stay there until we can go home. After you become a police officer, that is, he responds casually. You needn't be wasting your money like that. You know what? I'll talk to our alpha. He will definitely find you a place to stay at our pack for a few months. I wouldn't want to intrude. It's fine. Mateo is paying anyways, so I won't be wasting my money, he explains to me with a wink, making me chuckle. I just thought it would be fun to live close to each other. That way we could be spending more time together, but... I guess if you are not interested in that, I joke while pouting wittily. Alvaro gives me a sexy smirk before saying, actually, maybe I should come live in your pack house. I wouldn't want my alpha to go bankrupt after all. My loud laughter echoes through the house, and I catch myself realizing that I haven't laughed this sincerely in a long time. Alvaro laughs slowly himself and then stands up, extending his hand. Are you ready to leave? Yeep. Let's go, I respond while putting my hand in his and standing up as well. The drive back home was silent and comfortable, filled with a few brief comments here and there. A country song was playing in the background, the song I imagined in this scene is, while a smile kept on playing on my lip. I kept on reflecting on how easy it was for our wolves to bond with each other. There were no weird stages. We connected straight away. Alvaro looks at me in that very moment and gives me a knowing look as if he read. I smiled at him shyly and put my gaze out of the window. Shockingly, I realized that we were already close to my driveway. My mate parked his car and killed the engine. We're here. I'll walk you to your door, Alvaro said. Okay, I answered nonchalantly, although mine drifted back to the last time Alvaro brought me home and the small peck he had given me. Would he kiss me again a night? We swiftly reached my doorstep and I took my keys out of my bag. I looked at my mate and felt my heart full with emotions. Tonight had definitely helped us come closer. Our wolves got to know each other, helping us connect in a deeper level. Alvaro was such an attractive man that I felt that all I did was stare at him in awe. Even now that I was completely comfortable around him, it was hard not to notice how his muscles flexed every time he moved, or how his full lips always seemed so kissable, or how his piercing blue eyes took my breath away. Tonight was really fun. I loved running free in the forest, and I am glad our wolves connected this easily. We should do that more often, I commented while standing right across from my mate. I am glad you liked it. I without a doubt want us to do that again sometime, Alvaro stated, and then took a small frustrated breath before stepping a little closer to me, leaning so he can whisper to my ear, really want to kiss you right now. But your brother is watching us from the window, so that would be a bit awkward. Therefore, I am going to wish you a good night, he remarks, making me chuckle. I am going to murder that idiot, I murmur while sighing. I'll call my alpha tomorrow and see if he can find you a place to stay while you're here. That would be great. Thank you. I suddenly exhale loudly, annoyed by my brother's antics. I knew he was just trying to protect me, or in this case have a laugh. This is Adrian we're talking about. Simphy loves infuriating people just so he can entertain himself. Unfortunately, I wished he would not try to row in this particular moment. I fixed my gaze back on my mate before moving closer to him and wrapping my hands around his torso. My head was placed in his chest, his heartbeat calming my frustration. Alvaro quickly returns the hug, and we just stay there, in a sweet hold, feeling the comfort of being in each other's embrace. The silence is soothing, almost like it contributes in making our moment even more special. I notice the dark sky and the shining stars and realize how late it must be. Reluctantly, after a while, I unwrap myself from my mate. Good night. We'll talk tomorrow, I utter unsurely, and Alvaro nods his head, giving me a smile. I smile softly back and get inside my house. Just as I close the door, I see Adrian approaching me, a smirk playing on his lips. Oh, Cinderella is finally home. How was your date with Prince Charming? He comments while laughing at his own joke, and I give him an evil smile in return. You better run, little brother. And you better run fast, because if I catch you, you are dead. Chapter 10. A little over a month passed in a haze. Alpha Mateo alongside Carly. Jordan and Carlos went back to Spain briefly after the day I met them. Alvaro was staying in our pack house. Alpha Christopher was kind enough to offer him a place to crash until we head out back to his home. Jonathan and Alvaro became really close friends, bonding over their love for pack practice, talking strategy and the fact that they were mated to Jenna and I. I believe my brother Adrian might have been a bit jealous of this new friendship, although he was never cruel towards my mate. He knew Jonathan was his best friend, but he could not help but feel left out when we, for example, went on double dates. As for myself, I spent most of my time both studying hard and working out for my exams and also hanging out with Alvaro. He was quite helpful when it came to teaching me new techniques of attack and defense, putting me at the top of my class. Besides the obvious advantage of being a werewolf, I had also become faster, stronger, and deadlier. Grace was the first one to notice my progress and had been working out with us as well. Sebastian, her mate, also joined us a few times. We were both pretty confident that we would pass our exams with flying colors and would be joining the force soon. And we did. During this time, Alvaro was the most supportive mate a girl could ask for. He was always willing to help me improve both physically and mentally. Although we did not have much free time to spend on romantic getaways, he never complained. He always told me he was glad he was able to help me accomplish my dream. This past month I had been thinking a lot about Alvaro and his forthcoming departure. It seemed like such a stressful idea in the beginning, but now, I felt ready to start a new life with my mate in his home country. Alvaro always mentioned how different yet an interesting pack life was in Spain. He had helped me understand their rules and traditions, which seemed a bit old-fashioned but fair. He explained to me that the Alpha and those that were close to him were mostly treated like royalty, although Mateo had been trying to change that for the past few years. He hoped that he could bring more equality into their lives. Most pack members helped around the pack instead of having real jobs. The money came from years of savings that were passed from one generation to the other. There might have been members that wanted to pursue different careers but didn't, just because it was not how everything usually worked in the Godsend pack. Alpha Mateo had come to the USA in order to learn how to nice his pack's customs without disturbing their peace. Now that he had found Carly, he was finally ready to put his plan into motion. His father would be stepping down, giving Mateo the chance to rule in his own way. I was aware of the fact that Alvaro was saddened he could not be there to help his Alpha with this project right from the start, since they spend so many years of planning these changes. They would often discuss pack business over the phone, but it was clear that my mate wished he could be more present in this situation. Therefore, I was glad that one of the most important days of my life finally arrived. Grace and I were just a few minutes away from graduating. We had spent so much time preparing for this moment that I could not believe it was finally here. Tonight was all about celebrating our achievement. Grace and I were currently sitting side by side, wearing our caps and gowns and waiting for Mr. Anderson to announce our names before going up to the stand and getting our degree. All of our friends and family were also here, supporting us in this significant occasion. Our old classmates that were now our new colleagues were seated close to us, and most of them seemed nervous but excited. My mind drifted back to the day when Mr. Anderson announced the candidates that succeeded in becoming police officers. Flashback. Grace and I, alongside our fellow students, were waiting anxiously for Mr. Anderson to show up in the lecture hall. He came bursting in and had a bright smile on his face, which seemed like a good sign. He cleared his throat loudly, catching our attention. "Hello, everyone. I hope all of you are well. I have to admit that I am probably as nervous as you guys today, considering the fact that I was there the first time you stepped foot in this property," he said with a chuckle, as if he was remembering something. "Most of you look lost. Some seemed determined to succeed, and others weren't even sure if they wanted to be here. I spent the last 4 years watching each and every one of you grow through all of the struggles and difficulties you had to face in the academy. And regardless of today's outcome, I just wanted to say I am extremely proud of you. I am extremely proud of all of you. It was an honor to be your professor. Hope I teached you a thing or two," he joked at the end of his speech, winking at us, and we all started clapping our hands while a lot of cheers and whistles could be heard. Mr. Anderson was definitely our favorite lieutenant. Mr. Anderson chuckled at our outburst, and he motioned for us to calm down and take our sits. Now on to the hard part. I am gonna name the candidates that ace their exams in alphabetical order. Those ones that won't hear their names can try their luck again at the end of the year. So, without further ado, the first one is Margaret Atkins. Congratulations. Our fellow contenders kept on hearing their names, each one reacting in their own way. The list went on until it finally reached the letter L. Thank God Grace was by my side, because I was suddenly a bit worried. Grace squeezed my hand in a reassuring manner, trying to calm my nerves. Finally, our lieutenant looked my way and grinned at me cheekily before saying, "Next we have the petite but very feisty Dawn Logan. Congratulations. Yes, you did it." Grace squealed and threw her arms around me in a tight hug. "I am so happy," I said, unable to form many other words. We quickly pulled apart since Grace's name should be announced anytime soon. We had to wait for a few more names to pass until Mr. Anderson called my best friend's name. Once again we hugged it out and squealed like little kids. There was something so rewarding in reaching a goal that you work so hard for. End of flashback. At this moment, as I was realizing everything I had to go through in order to be here today, I felt unexpectedly overwhelmed. This was it, Mr. Anderson announced my name. I stood up swiftly and made my way towards the stand. All of my friends and family alongside some of our pack members cheered for me loudly, and I gave them a little wave while I had a huge grin plastered on my face. My lieutenant looked at me politely and handed me my degree. "I am really proud of you," he told me softly, and all I managed to say back was a brief thank you. I got down from the stage pretty quickly after that so I could watch my best friend get her degree. A lot of hugs, congratulations, and smiles for the cameras. Later, we were all gathered in our house. My siblings decided to throw me a graduation barbecue party, but it was also a good excuse for me to spend some time with all my favorite people before Alvaro and I leave for Spain. Since I was a beta's daughter, the entire pack was invited. Pretty much everyone brought me gifts, which was surprising, and they all seemed genuinely happy for me, wishing me the best for my future. It warmed my heart watching everyone enjoying themselves. I looked around our yard and noticed so many familiar faces that I won't be seeing so frequently anymore. I saw my friends, my family, some pack members that I actually liked. Jonathan was currently grilling while he seemed to be saying something funny that had my sister turn red, and my brothers burst out in laughter. Peter turned his eyes on mine and gave me a sweet toothy smile that I returned instantly. Our Alpha and Luna, along with my mother, were drinking wine and having a discussion about random stuff. The little pups were running around giggling, causing chaos. Sebastian and Grace were dancing to a slow tune, looking into each other's eyes lovingly. My father had Alvaro cornered and was probably warning him to protect me with his life, because if something was to happen to me, he would hunt him down. My poor mate. I laughed lowly, remembering how different my life was just a few months ago. I was actually glad that this was the way I was walking out of the pack, with my dream accomplished and my awesome mate by my side. Right in that second, Gamma Cecilia approached me with a warm expression, catching my attention, and handed me a small red box. "This is for you, my sweet Dawn," she told me kindly. "Thank you, Gamma Cecilia. You didn't have to." I thanked her graciously. "Nonsense. It's nothing special, just a little wooden heart my husband made. It's supposed to protect you in this new chapter of your life." We gave one to Carly as well. You know, today actually reminds me of the day she left. Letting her go was undeniably the hardest thing I had to do. I can tell this will be hard on your parents. It definitely will be. My mother interrupts us and comes to stand close to me. Gamma Cecilia nods agreeably, her eyes a bit teary. "I was just mentioning that to Dawn. I will leave you guys to it. You take care of yourself, okay?" She tells me and hugs me momentarily before making her way to where her husband was sighted. I turn my gaze towards my mother, who had her attention already on me. "I cannot believe you and Alvaro are heading to Spain so soon," she states, and I can't help but feel a bit dumbfounded. He can't neglect his duties for much longer. Besides, you are the one who told me that a she-wolf must always follow her mate. I am aware of what I said. Dawn. It's just that never mind. I was about to wish you luck, but you won't be needing it. I am certain you will do great. You are a good person. You will be a good beta, she declares effortlessly. I raise my brow at her, not believing the amount of compliments I just received from my mother. Thank you, I guess. I answer her, not knowing how to respond to her. She nods once and turns to leave, but then looks at me again before saying, you just make sure you don't forget this place. After all, it's part of your story. You know, I don't think I have ever told you this before, but I truly do love you, Dawn. You guys have a safe trip, she admits, surprising me once again. She steps away from me and reaches our Luna before I have the chance to answer her, and I just stand there, shocked as ever. I shake my head dismissively and decide to go grab something to eat, not feeling willing to overthink my mother's odd behavior. I take a plate from the table and approach Jonathan and my siblings. Hey, future Alpha. Will you feed the person everyone gathered here for? I tell him, showing him my plate. Of course. Dawn, what do you want? Chicken. My siblings and I answer at the same time, making all of us laugh simultaneously. If we know anything about Dawn, is that she loves as her chicken. Adrian eases me while putting his hand on my shoulder, and I show him my tongue. Jonathan serves me my much anticipated chicken and I devour delicious meat immediately. Damn, I am going to miss our fights about all things food related, little sis, Adrian mentions sheepishly. I roll my eyes playfully at his comment, for the last time I am older than you. Little goof feist Hayton, he grins. And I am concerned about the fact that there will be no one worthy enough to tease around here. Plus, who will be making us dinner at 3 a.m. when we can't sleep now that you are moving away? Jenna is always with Jonathan nowadays, he adds, making Jenna's cough at him. Hey, it's not my fault you guys are mateless. Jenna responds sassy lie while giving Jonathan a peck on the lips to irritate Adrian. That's just gross. You are lucky you are my future Alpha, my brother states, pointing his finger at Jonathan, who just smiles apologetically. I am more concerned about the fact that we won't be having you around in general. I am really going to miss you, Don Peter remarks with a serious yet soft expression that melts my heart. I am going to miss you guys a lot, I answer him truthfully. Group sibling hug. Jenna yells and comes closer so we can all embrace each other. We stay like that for a few seconds, all hugging each other tightly, before we let go. What more can a father ask for? I think this is the first time I've seen you guys not biting at each other's throats every 2 seconds. My father, who would come up to us accompanied by our Alpha, declares. Alpha Christopher looks at me and gives me a warm smile. The police force will be missing out on an amazing police officer. He notes timely, I believe so. To you did well, Dawn. You chose your own path. You followed your heart and you won. My father admits for the first time ever, and I can't help but feel proud of myself in that very moment. I knew my dad hated acknowledging that he was wrong, especially when it came down to my choices. Thank you both. I respond shyly, not knowing how to handle my parents' weird goodbyes to me. You make sure you make some unforgettable memories there. Spain is a beautiful country. But your mother probably already told you all about it. My Alpha says, and I look at him with confusion. My mother. I ask, dazed, fixing my gaze on my father. He doesn't respond to me immediately. He looks on the ground before returning my stare. A few seconds pass before he answers, yes, your mother lived in Spain for almost a year when she was 17. She was studying to become a nurse. When she turned 18, she came home for a quick visit and we found out we were mates. We accepted our duties as betas of this pack straight away. She never went back to Spain after that. My father explains slowly, as if the memory is so unpleasant that it hurts. I had no idea, I tell him, and he just shrugs it off. I feel like there was a reason why none of us knew about this secret adventure my mother went on when she was younger. We will let you kids enjoy the rest of your night, Alpha Christopher states, easing the tension, and they both walk away from us. Jenna turns her eyes on mine, a million questions dancing in them, reflecting my own confusion. My mate decides to appear out of nowhere right in that instant and puts his arm around me from behind, locking me in a warm hug. Hey, I greet him lowly. Hey, I feel like I haven't seen you at all today. I have to fight pretty much everyone for your attention, he jokes, and I smile. From tomorrow on you will have me all to yourself, yes. Finally, Alvaro teases and I roll my eyes. Are you ready to say goodbye to everyone? We need to get going in a little while if we want to catch the plane, Alvaro reminds me, and I sigh loudly. Yeah, I guess I tell him, not sounding convincing in the slightest. Alvaro gives me a tiny kiss on my neck and then whispers, we can postpone our departure if you want. I turn around in his embrace, feeling the need to look into his beautiful eyes that are always so full with emotion. Alvaro's grip tightens on my back and I give him a sweet kiss on the lips. I am ready to start our life together. Let's go tell everyone we are heading off. Alvaro nods understandably. I'll go grab our suitcases while you say goodbye to everyone. I move towards the center of our yard and clear my throat. No one can hear me. Can everyone gather out here? Please. Alvaro and I will be leaving soon. Little by little, all of our pack members came out of the house and gathered around me. I hugged pretty much every single person that came here today, even though some were only here for the delicious food. I honestly don't blame them. Obviously, the funniest exchange of goodbyes was between Grace and I. She demonstrated how dramatic she can be by crying her eyes out and threatening to show everyone embarrassing pictures of me if I do not call her on a regular basis. I was going to miss her badly. Finally, we were all set up and ready to leave. Alvaro put our suitcases in his car as I got inside the vehicle and put my seatbelt on. Every person was waving at us and I chuckled, thinking how this felt like we had just gotten married and were now leaving for our honeymoon. I gave them a sincere smile and waved back, not wanting to be rude. Alvaro got in the car as well and looked at me expectantly. So are you ready? He hissed in a hoarse tone that had my mind and heart twirling. I looked at him with confidence, returning his intense stare, and simply said, oh yeah, Chapter 11. The flight to Spain was a long and tiring one, but thankfully I had Alvaro by my side, who proved to be extremely entertaining. He would make up funny stories about the people that were traveling with us, giving each one a weird name and career. For instance, there was this man who was probably in his 60s that was sighted right next to us. He was bald and had a funny mustache. The man was short, with a cute belly, and he looked like someone's grandfather. Alvaro decided that his name was Miguel, and he was a retired stripper who was visiting his boy toy in Spain. Every time the man looked at us, I couldn't help but picture him in a stripper's thong while in bed with a 20-year-old boy. Let's just say that my continuous giggles were making all the passengers uncomfortable. The poor man could obviously tell that we were discussing him, so he ended up giving us evil stares that made us laugh even harder. We were being assholes and we knew it. This is how we occupied our long hours on air, joking around and enjoying each other's company. In the small period of time that I had known Alvaro, I had grown awfully attached to him. Spending so many days training for my exams with him contributed into bringing us closer. I honestly couldn't imagine my life without him in it anymore. Unfortunately, though, due to the fact that I had been so focused on getting my degree, I had neglected the romantic side of our relationship. Sure, while hanging out we would hug and peck each other's lips all the time, but it was never more than that. Alvaro was always so respectful and careful around me, which I loved, but I was more than ready to bring the passion back into our lives. I knew sometimes it was hard for him to be so in control, but he was such a gentleman. I realized pretty quickly that it was the way he was brought up. He couldn't help it. And I knew how lucky I was to have a mate like that, but I was more than ready to take our relationship into the next level. One step at a time. We landed on the Barajas International Airport in Madrid at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, right on schedule. Alvaro explained to me that we would have to drive for around 3 to 4 hours in order to get to his hometown Albarracin. I immediately Googled the town's name and was rewarded with a million pictures of what seemed to be a breathtaking place. Alberson had it all. It had beautiful castles for me to explore, an amazing forest to run free in my wolf form. Whilst one of these big cities where people only had time for their jobs and their dinners at fancy restaurants. As Alvaro had mentioned, it was a small and homey one where everyone knew each other's names, cared for each other's well-being, and lived in peace. It was the perfect place for me. In the beginning, I had thought that the village might be a bit too much on the old-fashioned side, but my mate quickly dismissed my assumptions. It has pretty much the same luxuries a big city does. It's just more private. Mateo's grandfather wanted the pack to live in a town where everyone could be free to be themselves without risking exposing ourselves to the humans. Throughout the years, we learned how to keep up with human technologies just so we can be up to date. Especially now that Mateo is the alpha, I believe the town will advance even more in that department, meeting more glorious days. Alvaro had said to me when we were still on the plane, pride filling his statement. As we made our way out of the airport with our suitcases in hand, we both noticed Carlos sitting on his car, waving his hands at us with a huge smile on his face. "Brother, sister, over here," he yelled at us, and we both chuckled before walking faster towards him, reaching him in just a few steps. "Don," he said at full volume and came closer to me, giving me a tight hug. I hugged him back instantly before responding, "Hey, it's nice to see you." Alvaro teared Carlos away from me playfully. "Get off my mate. No hug for me. Herman on ah." "You aren't cute enough," Carlos answered in a teasing manner that made me grin. I was just getting to see my mate interact with his brother for almost the first time, and I found the dynamic of their relationship so interesting and really funny. "Let's get your suitcases in the car so we can get this show on the road," Carlos said simply, and took my luggage while Alvaro put his own suitcase in the trunk. My mate insisted on driving us, although Carlos protested, saying we were probably very tired from our trip. This was true, considering the fact that I fell asleep almost instantaneously as our drive started. Alvaro took the wheel, and with me by his side and Carlos in the back seat, our journey began. I woke up sometime later, curled up by my mate's side with his hand all wrapped protectively around me in the back seat. I turned my head towards Alvaro, who looked at me affectionately. "Did you know you look really cute when you're asleep?" he said sheepishly. "How in the world did we end up in the back seat?" I asked, confused. Turns out Carlos was right. I was too tired to drive. At some point I felt exhausted, so we switched places. "You looked really uncomfortable in the front seat, so I carried you here. You didn't even notice." "You actually snuggled impossibly close to me," Alvaro explained with a smirk. I gave him a raised eyebrow and pushed him away from me jokingly. "You wish." Carlos' laughter echoed in the car, reminding me that he was also here. "We are just an hour away from home now. Let's stop at this small diner for some food," he suggests, and both Alvaro and I in agreement. Just like Carlos had mentioned, an hour and a half later we saw a beautiful sign with the words "Welcome to Albar Race" written on it. We were finally here. Right in front of us there was a massive silver gate that looked kinda forbidding. Carlos got out of the car and swiftly made his way towards the alarm sensor and pressed a code. The gate's doors opened widely, and before I could comprehend what had happened, we were moving inside. "Welcome home," Alvaro whispered in my ear, and all I could do was nod in awe. In front of me was the most astonishing castle I had ever seen. It was enormous to say the least, and it had a mysterious aura as if it held a million secrets. "This is our pack house. Mateo said we could stay here for as long as we wish," my mate explained. "Most of the pack members live here anyways, although there are a lot that have their own house around the village." Carlos added. I swallowed loudly, still a little speechless by the sight before my eyes. Besides the castle, there were giant trees and beautiful flowers everywhere, which made this place look like heaven. I noticed that the road on my left led somewhere else, but I couldn't see where since trees were blocking my vision. "Where does the road lead?" I asked curiously. Alvaro followed my gaze and saw what I was staring at to the main town. There are shops, restaurants, bars and all kinds of facilities there. They'll take you there sometime. It is just a 10-minute drive. I nodded understandably while Carlos parked the car right in front of the castle. We're here, he said cheerfully and got out of the vehicle. Alvaro took my hand in his and opened our doors so we can get out as well. The two guards that were standing stoically on both sides of the main door quickly approached us and bowed their heads a little. Welcome home, Beta. Let us take your luggage inside, the shorter one said. It's nice to see you both. Pepe. Diego, this is my mate Don. Alvaro introduced us. Nice to meet you, I said politely. Miss. The shorter one, whom I figured out was Pepe, replied. The other man seemed a bit quiet, like he wasn't really a fan of socializing, so I just left it at that. Let's get inside, shall we? My mate proposed with his hand on my back, urging me softly to walk. I just want to warn you. My mother is inside, so you will be meeting her. She is an amazing person, but she is too emotional at times. And considering the fact that she hasn't seen me for quite some time, this might be a bit overwhelming. I nodded simply, not trusting my voice. Carlos reappeared right next to me alongside the two guards and gave me a reassuring smile. Pepe opened the door for us and we walked slowly inside. The minute I noticed my surroundings, my breath got caught up in my throat. The castle was even more marvelous on the inside. From the beautiful diamond chandeliers, the remarkable paintings to the pair of white flight of stairs right in front of me, this place looked like a dream. The Albar race and castle was so different from what I was used to that I couldn't but appreciate its beauty. I stayed frozen in my spot, completely at loss for words. Alvaro was the first one to notice my dumbfounded expression, which made him chuckle. He squeezed my hand lightly and whispered in my ear, "It's astonishing, isn't it? Our pack house usually has that effect on people that visit it for the first time. Don't worry. You get used to it pretty quickly," Carlos said politely. "It's beautiful," I stated, still a bit stunned. "So you are indeed back," we heard a voice comment before no other but Jordan made her way towards us, looking as good as ever, which was a strike to my ego. After spending so many hours traveling, I looked a bit drained and tired while she looked like a supermodel. "AGH, hello to you," Alvaro said in his usual jokey manner, which made her smile. I tightened my grip on my mate's hand and gave her an innocent smile. "It's nice to see you again," I said, faking the sweet tone. She smiled back, obviously humored by my manners. "You two. Dawn. Come on, everyone is waiting for you guys in the dining hall. Fiorella has been driving everyone crazy these past few days." "Oh yes, that's true actually. Mom kept on telling everybody that her baby will be coming home soon. I swear she was acting as if he had gone missing for 10 years straight or something," Carlos said, and we all laughed while walking a bit faster to the dining hall. We finally reached what seemed to be a huge room, and I knew I was a few seconds away from meeting my future mother-in-law. It was kinda weird using that word, but it was accurate. After the mating ceremony, Alvaro and I will be practically married. Jordan opened the door without any warning and got inside swiftly with Carlos right behind her. Alvaro gave me a sweet kiss on my hand in a soothing way that encouraged me to step forward as well. The first thing I noticed was how Alpha Mateo was at the head of the table with Carly by his side. Right next to them was a woman around her 50s that looked an awful lot like my mate, with her long black hair and those astonishing blue eyes that were extremely familiar. I knew right away that this must be Fiorella, my mate's mother. "Oh God," the beautiful woman squealed when she noticed us. She got up and approached us just as we stepped closer to her. To my surprise, she fixed her teary eyes on mine and gave me a heart-warming beam. "You must be Dawn. You have no idea how happy I am to meet you. Carly here mentioned just how precious you are, but you are even cuter in person," she said with a thick accent. "Me too, Mr. Spas Illas. I've heard so much about you," I answered her sincerely. "Oh, call me Fiorella. And give me a hug. We are huge huggers in this family, she replied and hugged me softly. Then, she turned her eyes on my mate and Dice, where I saw him swallow hard as if he was a bit frightened. She pointed her fingers at him accusingly before saying, "How could you only call me once or twice a month for 3 years straight? Joe. It's been 2 years since I last saw you," Fiorella told him in a shaky voice, and my heart tightened at how broken she sounded. "Madre, you knew it was hard for us to find time to call you. Between traveling to other packs to find our Luna and trying to manage to do well at college, there was not just much free time, honestly. What matters is that I am here now." "Right. See," she said, her voice cracking. "Game on, abrazo. Madre, give me a hug," Mother Alvaro said, a smile playing on his lips. They hugged each other tightly after all these years, and I couldn't but stare at the sweet scene in front of me. "This is touching. Come on, Dawn, let's sit. You must be hungry," Carlos said, lightening up the mood. We took our seats on the table, Alvaro sitting next to his mother with me on his side. Carlos sat right across from us with Jordan close to him. "It's so nice to have you here. I asked Tilda to fix us some dinner and prepare your rooms. You must be exhausted," Mateo said to us while something that smelled heavenly was served. "This is fied you I've been in love with this dish since I moved here. I think you'll love it too." Dawn, Carly mentioned, and I'd have right in, having missed homemade meals. The dish was delicious. It was noodles with some kind of seafood, and the combination was mouth-watering. "So, our dear beta couple, now that you are here, I think it would be time for us to have the official transition ceremony. And I want to introduce Carly as Luna, although everyone has already accepted her," Mateo stated, looking at us as mate with adoration. "You haven't had it yet?" I asked, a bit surprised. "I thought it would be better if you guys were here as well. That way, Alvaro can introduce you as the beta female on the same day," Carly explained to us, and I was touched by her thoughtfulness. "I would really like that," I said shyly, not looking at my mate who had his gaze on me. Alvaro kept his eyes on me when he added, "It would make me the happiest man alive to inform everybody that we belong together." I am pretty sure I blushed like a schoolgirl at his words and took a small peek at my mate's striking eyes. He was still staring at me intensely, and I couldn't look away. Thank God Mateo cleared his throat and brought out attention back to our discussion. "Great. It's settled then. I will talk to my father about having the ceremony in a few days," the Alpha said simply. "Thank you so much for joining me in this obsession with werewolves. I hope you've had a great time and can't wait to come back for more. Remember to subscribe, leave your comments, and share this passion with others. Until next time, keep being obsessed."